You're listening to the Rundown Live. Your protection from deception. And your forecast into the future.
Hey, what's that?
A Nightscope K5.
A what?
A Nightscope K5. It's a 300-pound police robot that looks like R2-D2 that can detect abnormal noise and temperature change or known criminals. It will alert local authorities. Malls, sporting arenas, communities everywhere is getting robots.
No way. It kinda looks like a Dalek from Doctor Who.
The all-seeing mobile robots will wirelessly connect to a centralized data server where authorities will have access to big data, making it possible to recognize faces, license plates, and other suspicious anomalies. You know, big data. Your Facebook, Tinder, conversations, banking history, credit purchase history.
That sounds like a Dalek to me.
Have you ever heard of Stingray technology or Hailstorm?
No.
Boy, you need to tune into Kriston T. Harris. That's how I feed my brain.
This is Band Questions, take one. Who?
What?
When?
Where?
Why?
How?
Question.
Questions.
When I was growing up, I had so many questions.
I think that questions lead to more questions.
Ignorance is bliss.
By middle school, child's curiosity.
If you don't go to the University of Wisconsin, you're gonna end up eating government cheese and living in a van down by the river.
I see you, Peter Thiel! Come to our show on the 19th! Peter Thiel, we see you! You have to come to our show, Peter Thiel! You have to!
Your government is run by pedophiles. They ordered you to die for Israel. They lied to you.
The fastest way to lose a buyer is to give them one more option. A man walks into a store for perfume. The salesperson shows him one bottle. He likes it, asks to try another, so she shows him a second. Now he's comparing, but the choice is still easy. Then he points at a third and asks to try that one too, and the smart salesperson doesn't add it to the table. She asks, which one should I remove first? Because the moment three similar options sit in front of you, your brain stops choosing and starts worrying. What if the other one's better? That's what most businesses get wrong. They think more options make the offer stronger, but the buyer doesn't feel helped. He feels responsible for picking wrong. And when people feel that, they freeze. So stop showing everything you can do. Show 2 clear paths, not 10. Because confused buyers don't pick the best option, they pick none.
I don't know if you know that I'm 71 years old. I might not act it, and I'm really youthful. And let me give you guys some really good words of advice. Go after your dreams. Set a goal. You guys could do anything. Your generation is amazing. You have technology at your fingertips. It's all about the people that you associate yourself with. Having great memories, making great things happen, hanging out with the right people, and doing the right thing.
I'm a Jeffrey Epstein survivor. My name is Andrea Sterling, and I need you to know who might be deciding whether survivors like me ever get real justice. His name is Todd Blanche. Before he worked at the Department of Justice, he was Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer. He defended Trump in the Stormy Daniels hush money case. He defended Trump against Special Counsel Jack Smith's prosecutions. And now he's the acting Attorney General of the United States. But on July 15th and 16th, the Senate decides if he becomes the permanent Attorney General. The man who spent years defending Trump in court wants to be the one deciding what happens with the Epstein files. Mind you, more than 1,200 employees, former employees of the Department of Justice just sent a letter to the Senate begging them not to confirm him. If we ever want to know what's in the Epstein files and all the men that are being redacted, say no to Todd Blanche. Just go to World Without Exploitation, go to their link and just click no. That's it.
33rd degree Mason Aleister Crowley wrote how he pecks at the eyes of Jesus on the cross, how the new age will arise from the destruction of Christianity, and how all children shall be accustomed from infancy to witness every type of sexual act. According to the royal art of Freemasonry, magic is the highest and most divine. And what is this magic?
Any living being is a storehouse of energy, varying in quantity according to the size and health of the animal. At the death of the animal, this energy is liberated suddenly. The animal therefore should be killed within the circle. For the highest spiritual working, one must accordingly choose that victim which contains the greatest and purest force.
We need to make witchcraft dangerous again. That's the whole theme of becoming dangerous is, if we're not disrupting, we're not accessing the true depth of our power, right? If we're not willing to meet our own edge of what's possible, we're definitely not accessing the full potential of our power. I think there's an entryway. Social media is an entryway, right? It's an entry drug. And as someone that has very large social platforms, I know this because I am that entryway.
Now, in Freemasonry, the idea of Metatron isn't as important as the idea of Enoch as the architect of divine preservation. Freemasonic lore turns Enoch into the pre-flood builder who knows that destruction is coming and hides sacred knowledge so it can survive the collapse of the world. And there's also the pillar tradition in Freemasonry. Different Masonic versions vary, but the function is pretty consistent. Enoch knows the flood or world destruction is coming, so he creates pillars to preserve antediluvian writings. Enoch receives divine knowledge, fears it will be lost through flood or fire or human destruction, and constructs pillars inscribed with arts, sciences, and esoteric teachings so that later generations can find them again. This is Enoch as the anti-apocalypse activist. The world can burn, the world can be drowned, but the divine knowledge must be preserved.
Saturday and Sunday, there's microwave magic at the fairgrounds in Milwaukee. 9 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Colders and the largest Midwest microwave distributors are liquidating thousands of overstocked microwaves at the fairgrounds in Milwaukee. Multi-feature microwaves $140, additional feature microwaves $188, completely deluxe microwaves under $250. Colders challenge the distributors to make the Midwest's largest microwave overstock liquidation at the fairgrounds in Milwaukee before Mother's Day. Saturday and Sunday, they do it at the fairgrounds in Milwaukee. Make Mother's Day microwave magic.
Let me tell you about how I discovered the dark secrets of satanic Kabbalah. Now, I'm not saying that all of Kabbalah is satanic, but there is a very dark side. And before we get started, I would like to address some false accusations that are being made against me, which are not only slanderous, but are completely fabricated. So allow me to also introduce you to the person who's making these accusations. Some of you may be familiar with this individual as they may have popped up on your For You page. Well, we originally met a few years ago because he was a Freemason as well as a Kabbalist. And unfortunately for my nose, I've met this guy in person. And we used to study Kabbalah together. However, I'm obviously an Orthodox Christian now, and a lot of that journey that led me to Orthodox Christianity was having to deal with this guy. Because everything seemed innocent and normal at first until it took a really dark turn. One day, he randomly sent me this book that he's been working on in the background that he titled The Secret Book of Hasatan. One day, he randomly sent me this book that he's been working on in the background that he
Now, you don't know it yet, but you are listening to History in the Making while you are listening to this show.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man, yet as mortal as his own.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Censored by the mainstream media, the destroyer of fake news, and your host of the Rundown Live, Kristan T. Harris.
Hey guys, welcome to another broadcast of the Rundown Live, rundownlive.com. I'm your host, Kristan T. Harris, and we're still having glitching issues with this EVMux software here, so I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me on the broadcast today. We're going to have a great show. We're going to dive into a lot of really interesting topics, viral videos. We're going to be talking about word magic, right? What is word magic? Because there's a video that's viral right now, and if you don't know the truth of what is accurate and not accurate about the Ziggurat truth and lies and esoteric of word magic, we're going to dive into that. We have some videos to play for you. We're going to talk about the Immortality Olympics, where they're trying to get people to rush and create a way to live forever. That's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to dive into that and a whole bunch more on today's broadcast. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me and holding in through some of these technical difficulties we've been having. And I'm not quite sure why we've been having them, but we have top-of-the-line stuff, top-of-the-line gear. You guys have made that possible as listeners. And I want to first of all plug the people that make this broadcast happen every day. And of course, that's the people over at Ground Zero Plus. Chris France over there does a great job. Clyde Lewis. And there's so many people on Ground Zero Plus Radio right now. Make sure you guys download the app. It's free. The app is called On Air Disclosure Talk Radio. So make sure you guys check for it in your Google Play Store. You'll get all these great broadcasters, including Kristan T. Harris, which is live right now on the app, as well as on the websites. You can go to Talk Stream Live and all these other platforms we're on. You can also find us on Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, anywhere where podcasts are found. And it's been a very interesting time diving into a lot of these things and subjects that have been going viral on the internet. And for a lot of people out there, they don't know a lot about what is word magic. What is word magic? And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And we're going to dive into, some of these videos that I've got of, one is going to be, we'll talk about it when they come up. It's pretty interesting, some of the things that are going on there. But word magic is something that is essentially the sound you make. We've talked on this broadcast about, making... going ahead and making things like words, right? The process of making words is not called wording, it's called spelling. So what is it? What is a spell, right? We have to ask ourselves, what is a spell when we're talking about the things like spelling and wording and all that other stuff? The process of stitching symbols together is called cursive. What does it mean to cast a curse on someone? And why is it the term rite, W-R-I-T-E, has the word R-I-T-E as in Scottish rite or ritual in it? And that is the spelling. That is the spell behind spelling. But when we talk about things like word magic, I got to bring up my buddy and one of my mentors, Jordan Maxwell. I didn't agree with everything Jordan Maxwell had to say, and he's the guy there on the left. On the far, or on the right of me, I'm the guy with the cool DNA shirt, and on the left of me is Leo Zagami, former head of OTO Satanism, Illuminati, and 33rd degree Freemason. And we were just we were having a philosophical conversation this evening. It was a great night. Got to meet got to meet good old Jordan Maxwell in person because we've talked online for many years. I've learned a lot. Basically, his whole catalog, a lot of my catalog, came from Jordan Maxwell. He wrote a great book called Matrix of Power. Make sure you guys check it out. And a lot of it is in that old time religion. That's another book he has written and he contributed to. But the reason why it's important is because we're going to be talking and unlocking a lot of different things about today's broadcast and diving into different topics, because there's a video that is viral right now. There's a video that's going all over the internet and people have seen it. People have mentioned it to me and they wanted to know what my opinion is of the video. And the video is of two kids talking about cigarettes and Ziggurats. And we're going to dive into this. And I wanted to just give you guys my background in philosophy, esotericism. And obviously Jordan is one of the GOATs, right? He's like Anthony Hilder, one of the guys that's been around for years and years and years. So this video has been going viral and I think it's got millions of views, but there's some misinformation in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you guys. I'm going to let you guys see it, and I want to come back to it here in just a moment.
See what those say? It says pyramids and ziggurats. Yeah. How many words do you know sound like ziggurat?
Only one.
Only one.
Cigarette.
Isn't that fascinating?
Interesting.
Now look at that. Those pyramids and those ziggurats are where they were sacrificing people.
Wow.
That's a human sacrificial portal. Look at all the cigarette companies, bro. Why do you think the old Marlboro logo emphasizes the A? See the pyramid?
Wow.
That's what they are doing. It's kill the human, sacrifice their blood at the top of the ziggurat or the pyramid, drain the blood, offer it to the demon god, eat the flesh on the bottom left, and then the bottom right, gain sacred knowledge.
Wow.
That's what that is. See the roly paper right there? What is that called? Why do you think they call it that? That's the roly paper that you roll cigarettes and weed in. It's called zigzag paper.
Wow.
Zigzag because of the ziggurat. That's where we get the word ziggurat. And then look, skull, and then pyramid. Look, scroll over. It says pyramid. Look, Kingston, pyramid. Salem is Jerusalem, whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Petra is also a place where there was structures. Cool is the ancient derivation for ghoul. Keep going over. Misty are the mystics that ran the pyramids.
Wow.
Corso, again, pyramid. Go down. You can see this one. Black, again, pyramid. Kingston, Parliament, pyramid. They're all pyramids.
Yeah.
Scroll up. Look at that. It ain't about the camel, bro. It's about the pyramids in the background.
Wow. Yeah, I see that right here.
Look at the Marlboro logo. The pack even opens up the top of the pack, and you lift off the top of the pyramid, just to show the uncompleted Tower of Babel.
So then are cigarettes basically like a mass human sacrifice ritual?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
If you're smoking cigarettes, you're a burned offering.
So we're going to dive into this video because there's some misinformation there. There's some things that are accurate and there's some things that are not accurate. And while we're looking at this, I wanted to pull up some of these things. And yes, cigarettes primarily have pyramids, and pyramids and ziggurats are one and of the same to a lot of people, right? Ziggurats, and obviously anyone that smokes cigarettes are a human sacrifice. And why would we believe that? Why would they say that? And for a lot of people that don't know, this is an example here. We got this first example. First slide shows you guys camel on the screen. Here we have black. They also have the pyramid. By the way, the capital A is a pyramid and all-seeing eye. That's the chief cornerstone. Masons use it. The church uses it as the eye of providence. The Illuminati uses it. A lot of different organizations uses the pyramid and all-seeing eye. But if you look at a capital A on your keyboard, on your cell phone, it is a pyramid and all-seeing eye. A lot of people don't realize that. And we're going to dive into what that means here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and look at here. Here's a Marlboro. You have the pyramid, and when you open up the top of the cigarettes, yep, it opens up. It separates it like the chief cornerstone. And if you don't know what a chief cornerstone is, we are going to dive into what a chief cornerstone is and what that all means here. Let's go ahead and fix this here so we don't have me hiding here. There we go. All right. Also, let's see what else we have. We have American spirits. Why is it that they are calling their cigarettes spirits? Well, tobacco was used in a lot of rituals in South America. It was, including human sacrifice and sacrificial rituals. Tobacco was used. So there's some accurate information there. I want to point out some things that were not very accurate as well. But let's go through and validate what we just heard. Here we have it. Menthol, right? The pyramid. And here's Kingston. We got a pyramid on the Kingston as well. Doral, you might not see the pyramid, but I see the pyramid. Do you guys see the pyramid in the Doral package? And if you guys want to see video, you guys can, roll up to rumble.com/therundownlive, Facebook or Twitter. But it's the capital A, right? The capital A, if the A's in the name, that's a pyramid and an all-seeing eye. That is what that symbol means. That's what the first letter of our alphabet. Here we have more cigarette, a package mock-up, all the mock-ups for people who want to make their own brand. They go ahead and they have that symbolism. So what does that all mean? Like when we have a pyramid and all-seeing eye, what does all of that mean? Is there any kind of important relevance to it? And there's a couple of things I want to break down for you guys so that you guys have a better understanding of what this symbolism is and what it means and how it impacts the world around us. Because first of all, we should probably talk about if this is a human sacrifice, right? If you're smoking cigarettes and you're dying, and ziggurats and pyramids are where they do sacrifices, who are these people that are doing it? All right. First of all, there are 10 civilizations, and we're going to go ahead and share this on your screen. There are 10 civilizations right now that are known in history that are prominent in human sacrifice. And I want to go ahead and pull this up here. Let's see what we got here. There it is. 10 civilizations that sacrifice children. And the first one is Babylon. Babylon. That's where the very first ziggurat comes from. And if you don't know the story of Nimrod, maybe we should tell you that story a little bit here. Because the story of Nimrod is rather interesting. And Babylon is probably one of the origin points of human sacrifice. Because Nimrod was Noah's great-grandson. And according to Freemasonry, we're going to go ahead and swap this out real quick here. We will show you as well. Albert Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, let's zoom in here to this bad boy, has Nimrod in it. And what it says about Nimrod is the legend of the craft in the old constitutions refers to Nimrod as one of the founders of Freemasonry or of Masonry. Thus, in New York manuscript, we read, at the making of the Tower of Babel, there was a masonry first much esteemed of, and the king of Babylon was called Nimrod, and was a mason himself and loved masons. And of course, that's the Cook manuscript, thus repeats the story, and his name was Nimrod, began in the Tower of Babel. So basically, they are suggesting or saying that Nimrod is one of the first founders of Freemasonry. Nimrod, one of the first founders of Freemasonry. When you hear the term Nimrod, what do you think? Well, the word Nimrod means to be an idiot. Well, why is it? Because Nimrod turned away from God. He installed cannibalism. And if you guys don't know, the term cannibalism is Cana and Baal. It means Babylonian priest. Cannibal, to eat human flesh, to consume it, is a Babylonian mystery religion, occult. So is human sacrifice, because they would sacrifice the children and they would sacrifice people to Moloch, Baal, and Marduk. Which, obviously, mentioning that Nimrod is one of the mighty hunters before God, which means he was an adversary, not like he was good and he took a knee before God, meaning that he despised God and he believed through their own hard works that they too could become as if they're gods. In fact, he was the first king to ever wear a crown, and a crown represents a sun and its rays. And that's all very important. It's all very interesting. And I verified this. I did an interview with Jordan Maxwell before he died, and perhaps maybe the last interview or one of the very last interviews he did was with me, and we discussed this. So if you go to the Rundown Live app, you can find that interview. Maybe we will republish it for those that may have some problems locating that. But we'll put this on the screen here for y'all to see. There it is. There's the Nimrod. and we got you on the screen. And we're going to go ahead and blow this up a little bit for y'all so you guys can see. This is Albert Mackey's Encyclopedia of Freemasonry. I just want to tell you guys so you guys know I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm pulling it straight from the horse's mouth here. And if we want to go ahead and zoom in on this piece of work, we got to exit out, and then we can kind of zoom in here and get you the Nimrod aspect. And in case you guys want to go ahead and read this yourself on, Ground Zero Plus, or pull up the video on Rumble. So there you have it, Nimrod. But what else is very interesting about Nimrod? Nimrod was known to install child sacrifice, human sacrifice. And when we talk about the Ziggurats and the Aztecs, we all know that they did some of this human sacrifice. They would take people to the top of the pyramid, they would stab them, they would kill them, then they would eat their flesh. That's what Indiana Jones is about. He goes in there, he rips the heart out, and the heart's still beating the shaman takes a bite out of it like an apple, and then they consume it, and they believe that they gain that person's soul and wisdom. And it's really interesting to think about. So when we start diving into the subject of word magic, these guys want to say ziggurat and cigarette, they're kind of the same thing, but not really. Symbolically, they are the same. And that's how word magic works. It doesn't have to be spelled exactly like the word. When you cast a spell, it only has to sound like the word. And we see word magic almost everywhere we go, and we don't realize it as human beings. We don't. People out there don't realize that this stuff is going on. And to give you some examples of word magic and where we can see a lot of these things, we're going to go ahead and pull this up. How many people out there are familiar with this word? This word is love, L-O-V-E, love. What a beautiful word. But backwards, love spells evil, E-V-O-L. What color is usually associated with the word love? Red. What color is usually associated with the word evil? Red. Fire, brimstone, red and orange, right? Live and evil is backwards. Now, when we look at these things, we wouldn't think much of it. But do you guys remember that interview I had with the guy that did reverse speech? And when you play things, your brain plays things forwards and backwards, and it interprets it. Believe it or not, when they put subliminal messages in music, your brain actually acknowledges it. Under the radar. You might not think it, but your brain actually learns and understands what's being said to you. It's being esoterically fed to you. Here's another interesting word that we all use, meta. People use meta. What is meta? Meta is Facebook. Facebook is meta. But what is meta when you spell it backwards? Well, it's Adam. Well, who was Adam? Adam and Eve. Not Adam and Steve, like they used to say. It was Adam and Eve. But what else is an atom? Atom, and this is interesting that in the Bible, the term Adam for the first man, that's the name, right? And then we have this. This is what an atom is really. It's the building blocks of society. It's the building blocks of what we are as a human being. It's our DNA. It's electrons. It's protons. It's all those different things. It's the building blocks of life itself. So what is Mark Zuckerberg saying when he's naming his company Meta, and backwards it's Adam, and it's the building blocks? Well, what is he into? He's into that virtual stuff, right? He's building the building blocks of the virtual society, the virtual world, starting with the Meta glasses that allow you to access a whole new virtual world that is outside the reality that we live in. And it's interesting because all these things tie together. They all tie together with today's news stories, with what's going on. And I'm going to break out some esoteric stuff that many people don't really know about sacrifice. Because every day, like today, we have good old Jacob Mizorowski, God bless him, one of the best pitchers in baseball, taking the field at a baseball stadium. If we've learned that the casting spells, that the word doesn't matter how it's spelled, but it's how it's pronounced, is part of the conjuring of those deities, well, what does it now mean to do things like play baseball? And as you can see, every person that is witnessing a baseball game may be giving ode to the deity Baal. Play ball, football, basketball. Why is it that the baseball diamond is shaped like a square and compass? And I'm going to give you some very interesting information here. It's because it's a Freemasonic sport. Here's a little Masonic pamphlet that talks about baseball and the esoteric symbolism of what every position means and what the bags mean and where you're going to be if you're playing on the field. So Jordan Maxwell had a very interesting video about the pyramid and the all-seeing eye and what it really means and what humanity really, what we get from it, right? What does it mean when we look at the dollar bill? We're programmed every day. The capital A, we punch on the keyboard and on our cell phone dozens of times, hundreds of times a day. But at the end of the day, what does it all really mean to us? And that's a fair question. Most people, they don't give it any credence at all. They don't really care. They're like, I'm going to just get along with my day, and we're going to just take it from there. But they don't understand that they're being subliminally programmed by these items and symbols because they're casting a spell on you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you guys a little bit here. Here's Jordan Maxwell breaking down the pyramid and all-seeing eye. God bless him.
And once you understand that all activity of humans on the earth, crime, doesn't matter what kind of activity, whatever the activity you're involved in, is under the law of the sea. It's under maritime admiralty law. And you need to understand that. So that you need to understand what the word maritime law means. It means the law of the sea. Let me give you an example about how the law of the sea works. All ships, rocket ship, sailing ship, doesn't matter what kind of a ship it is. All ships are referred to in law as she. You will always hear captains saying, yes, she's a good ship, or she's very seaworthy, she. All ships by law are female. That's maritime law of the sea. So all ships are female. Why? Because she delivers the product. If she doesn't deliver a product, there is no business. And so that's why when a ship pulls into harbor, the ship pulls into harbor and parks at the dock. Or where the ship is sitting in the dock is called its berth. B-E-R-T-H, the ship is sitting in her berth. And any items coming off that ship for sale, if it's like $800 million worth of Toyotas or televisions or whatever, every item on that ship coming off that ship is in maritime admiralty jurisdiction. It came in on water. It's banking. It's money. And so every item has to have its own certificate of manifest. You have to have how much does the car weigh, how much does it weigh, what color was it, does it have air conditioning, is it 4-door or 2-door? So it has to have its own certificate of manifest. Why? Because it came in on a ship and she delivered the product on the water, on the high seas. And so she's now sitting in her birth. So this is why when you were born, your mother's water broke. And you came out as a maritime admiralty product because you came out of water. Therefore, you have to have a birth certificate. A certificate of manifest from the ship who sits in the harbor in her birth. So you have to have a birth certificate. Why? And who has jurisdiction over the birth certificate is the dock, because that's where the ship is sitting. It's sitting at the dock. So the dock has to sign your birth certificate. Why? Because you are a maritime admiralty product. The banks will buy your body. And it's a story of the way banks work, the way maritime admiralty commerce works. You need to understand that you are a product. This is why if you are looking for a job, you're not looking for employment. You go to a human resource center because you are nothing more than a resource. You are a human resource. Just like iron and copper and oil and silver, and you're a resource. So you need to understand how this stuff works. When you drive through the downtown Los Angeles, you will see gang graffiti on the walls. Most people driving by and seeing gang graffiti just shake their head because it's just incredible the way that young people destroy property by spray painting graffiti on walls. But young people who understand that graffiti is a symbol, it means something. And if you don't understand the symbolism, you need to stay out of that neighborhood. So the same thing is happening all around the world. If you understand the flags and the symbols on flags, or the coats of arms, or the harlotry, or the corporate logos that companies and corporations use, these are all symbols and words and terms that are being used. So unless and until you understand that the whole world is a business, the entire earth is a business. This is why you have to have a license. You have to have a license to get married, because whether you understand it or not, you are considered, in this country, you are considered to be a corporation. Your body is a corporation, a company. That's why when I see you with the person, I say, you know what, that person you were with is bad company. Company? And you say, mind your own business. Business? And then I find out you're going to get married, and then you're going to have a partner. Company, business, partner. All human relations is corporate business. That's why you have to have a license to get married. If your marriage doesn't work, you're not going to God, you're going to court. And you're going to bring your money and all of your assets with you, because that's just business. So you need to understand how this stuff works. Life is nothing more than a business. And the entire world is a corporation. Now there's a world of difference today. There's a world of difference between the United States of America and the word United States. The word United States by itself means one thing. United States of America means something totally different. So that's another subject for another time. You need to understand how your government really works. Again, I'm saying that the most important thing that I would like for my audience to understand is that they need to educate themselves to the world they live in. Nothing works the way you think it does. Nothing. You know, I was talking about symbols and talking about the gang symbols. Well, nothing is more interesting when you're talking about symbols.
1 minute. I'm sorry about that.
So I was talking about the symbols, the gang symbols, and how they are actually telling you something. Well, the whole world is operating with symbols. As I said, corporate logos, company logos. national coats of arms, halotry, flags, badges, police badges, fire department. All these are different symbols, and they mean something. And I have talked for many years about the symbols on even just a $1 bill. Very interesting subject about the symbols on American dollar bill. For instance, on this side you will see the eagle. The eagle has two wings. Okay? The eagle has two wings, a left wing and a right wing. And this is why you have left and right wing politics, because the eagle only has two wings. So you only have Democratic and Republican wings in America. You cannot have a third wing. This is why third parties have never been allowed and will never be allowed in America, because the eagle only has two wings, a left wing and a right wing. Then above the eagle you will see 13 stars. And the 13 stars collectively, together, make up what we call a hexagram, or the Star of David. There are 9 tail feathers. There are 13 stripes in the flag. There are 13 arrows. There are 13 leaves. There are 13 berries. There are 13 layers of the pyramid. Count them, 13 layers. On the opposite side with the pyramid, and very few people have ever wondered, why is there a pyramid on an American dollar bill? Well, beneath the pyramid, you will see on the pyramid, it says 1776 in Roman numerals. And the words beneath it, Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is in Latin, New Order of the World. So you've heard the Bushes talking about a new world order. Well, that's exactly what's happening. The whole world is being taken over into what is called a new world order, right here on the dollar bill. Now, what's important about this symbol on the back of the dollar bill, virtually no one realizes that the symbol of the pyramid with the eye at the top, what does it represent? Well, there are many, many websites and many people talking about this symbol, and virtually every one of them is wrong. It does not mean what the Christians say it means. It has nothing to do with the devil or demons or Illuminati or any of that. I've been looking at this subject for over 53 years. And I will tell you that this symbol does not represent the devil. It does not represent Lucifer. It does not represent anything evil or dark or bad. Although there are many Christian groups who want to tell you this book represents the eye of Lucifer and the devil. The word devil is simply a D in front of the word evil.
Word magic.
Write evil and put a D in front of it, becomes devil. The word God comes from the same root as good. So you take an O out of good, becomes God. God is good and devil is evil. Merely words. I'm talking about facts. Here is the facts of the pyramid on the dollar bill. The pyramid with the all-seeing eye at the top, you will see a light emanating from around the eye. The light is the sun. The pyramid with the all-seeing eye is actually the symbol for the Messiah in the Hebrew theology. In ancient Hebrew theology, Messiah, not Jesus. Jesus is Messiah in Christian theology. But in the Hebrew theology, knew nothing about Jesus, knew nothing about the Christian Messiah. In the original Hebrew, Messiah was always understood to be a triangle on top of a pyramid. That's what the very word Messiah implied. The word Messiah, twice in the Old Testament, the Messiah is referred to as the chief cornerstone the builders rejected. I think one time was in Isaiah and once was in the book of Psalms. Twice in the Old Testament, the Messiah, not Jesus, Messiah, was referred to as the chief cornerstone the builders rejected. Then twice in the New Testament, Jesus is also referred to as the chief cornerstone the builders rejected. Same interpretation, different words, one in Hebrew, one in Greek and Aramaic, and the New Testament. So the word chief cornerstone, this is why you will hear Christians who do not understand the terminology and are totally wrong. They will say that Jesus is the cornerstone of the church. Absolutely not. That's not what the Bible says. Jesus is not the cornerstone of the Christian church, period. The scripture very expressly says that Jesus is the chief cornerstone that the builders rejected, not cornerstone. Cornerstones are, of course, found on the corner of a building. Jesus is not on the corner of a building. The scripture says he is the peak of the building. He's not on the corner. And so Jesus is not the cornerstone of the church. He is the chief cornerstone of the church. And the very word chief cornerstone in Hebrew for Messiah and in the New Testament for Jesus means the same thing. It's a Hebrew word or a Greek word. And they mean the same thing. They mean in the Hebrew and Greek, a chief cornerstone is a triangle perched on top of a pyramid. That's what the word means.
And that kind of brings and punctuates our point, but I want to tell you where Jordan got a lot of his information. This is a document put out by the Freemasonic publishers. I think it was Lucifer Publishing. Just saying. It's called the New Age, and it's because it's a New Age movement. It's the mystery religion. In the Bible, that one of the adversaries is the mystery religion. And this is a document here that breaks down all the symbols in Masonry that are on the dollar bill. So when people say, oh, there's no Freemasonic symbols, and to validate what I just told you, here's the New Age, and you can see it's from the Supreme Council of 33rd degree Freemasons. Just like in baseball, 33-inch bat that must weigh 33 ounces. They have all these esoteric things that they put in there that they want you to think about. But, the idea is when you lay down your cornerstone, that's the foundation of your building, right? But what is a chief cornerstone? Well, the chief cornerstone, like he mentions, is a obelisk or a pyramid at the end, meaning you can't put another brick on top of it if you're building a home. So what you got to do is you got to cut it off. You reject it. You cut it off so you can lay another brick on it. But again, the eye in the back of the chief cornerstone represents the sun, like Jordan says. But back in the day, the sun, that was God's sun. You can't own the sun. I can't own the sun. That must be God's sun. That's the eye in the sky. That is the all-seeing eye. The sun sees all. It sees all sides of the planet. It sees all sides of the world. It illuminates everything outside. It sees all the living things out there. It also, sees you when you're outside as well. And that's kind of the idea. And as you heard, good. You take a letter out of good, you got God. You put a D in front of evil, you got devil. It is word magic at the end of the day. It's programming, epigenetic programming. And here we have it just to prove. This is like from Aztec imagery, and you see that they got the guy on top of the ziggurat. They sacrifice him. Then they're like, nom, yum, yum, yum. We're going to eat this person, and then they get the knowledge. So that video that we saw, a couple things that pointed out that I want to point out, and they mentioned zigzags. Well, zigzags don't come from ziggurat. They were called zigzags because of their Z shape when they were made. So that was evidently false. Another thing that video had, and which is incorrect about, is that the word cool derives from the word ghoul. And by the way, ghouls do eat people, right? Cannibalism. But the word cool doesn't come from ghoul. That was incorrect. However, in word magic, if you get sloppy, instead of saying cool, you say ghoul, or it sounds like ghoul and cool. You see the cool. Sounds the damn same. So therefore, in word magic, if you use the term cool, you could be giving some admiration to a ghoul. Just like when you say play ball in a baseball diamond, which is a mystery religion founded by Nimrod, one of the founders of Freemasonry, who built great works and built the Tower of Babel, which was a ziggurat, by the way, and they were into cannibalism. It's interesting. So one of the beliefs I adopted early on is that there was a similar architecture between all these pyramids, like they came from the same masons. So either it predates Nimrod, because they said Nimrod kind of developed and created the first old world order. He unified the world, and he built ziggurats. He was a ziggurat builder. So when you smoke a cigarette, and they use tobacco for sacrifice, and they use tobacco for human sacrifice, and the cigarettes kill you, well, you might as well be a sacrificial lamb to Baal. That's essentially what it is. And yes, you should quit smoking. And I'm, like I smoke a cigar every once in a while, but I'm just saying, people who do it every day, you're killing yourself, and you're going to be a sacrificial lamb for the deity Molech, Baal, or Marduk, or whatever you want to call it. And when you go to a baseball game, you give, and I got a baseball hat on, and I got a baseball shirt on, you're giving ode to Baal if you don't really think about it and really dive into it. Football, basketball, and that's why I like hockey so much. But, I get into the sports, and not everything is bad. But the occult, the meaning, the hidden meaning, the whole idea of baseball being a Masonic sport is fundamentally written in Freemasonry. So it's not something that isn't real. And so we talked about a couple of things here. And I want to go back to this, meta. Why do I want to come back to meta in the virtual world? Well, it has something to do with what's in the news. And you're saying, Kristan, what's in the news? Well, the Immortality Olympics are in the news. They're in the news. By the way, Green Day had an album called Nimrod. Interesting, huh? Not that they knew it. I'm sure they thought it meant something like moronic or idiotic or whatever. But here you go, Immortality Olympics. I want to share this with you guys. And this is kind of interesting because we know that these blood-sucking elitists, they want to live forever. And why is it that they're blood swapping and like the oxygen tanks and Wi-Fi blockers inside the Immortality Olympics where biohackers race to live forever? Why are they blocking Wi-Fi signals? There should be nothing wrong with Wi-Fi. Or is there? And a lot of people, and tomorrow we have a guest, Bryn Beamick. We can talk to her about this because when I was helping her run her campaign against Robin Voss in 2013, she would unplug all her Wi-Fi at night. She would, and she would sleep like a champ. But here we go. Blood swapping, oxygen chains, Wi-Fi blockers, all of that inside of, billionaire tycoons' adventure to try to live forever. They're calling it the Rejuvenation Olympics. It's a competitive here goes. It's a competitive organization where they're trying to get and slow aging and become looking younger. The world is championed by biohacker Brian Johnson, whose motto, "Don't die," has seen him splurge the aforementioned sum on everything from experimental gene therapy to 100-plus pills a day and nonstop MRI, ultrasounds, colonoscopy, and gene tracking. Believers say the lifestyle tweaks are in the name of science and attempting to find a way to prolong human life, but a longevity scientist tells The Sun many of Brian's fixes are crazy biohacking nonsense. So, why not? Let's try to live forever. Annie Nash, New Yorker, she spends £10,000 a year, $20,000 a year on just supplements and trying to live longer in different types of therapy. And there's a lot of people like Peter Thiel that are interested in this. Another person that's interested in living forever, not just the Immortality Olympics, because, in Meta, he's building that metaverse. He's going to want you to live forever, right, in the digital sphere. And that's why we're going to call that Adam, because it's an origin point of the Meta world, because they're going to get everyone hooked up to the Matrix one way or another. And now we're looking at this. Immortal Tyrant Putin is the name of the article by the U.S. Sun. And it's also talking about, Putin doesn't do anything weird. He just deer blood baths, eats mutant strawberries, and does Frankenstein layer experiments. Oh, okay. That's right. Vladimir Putin is attempting to launch another war, this time with death itself. The aging leader is trying to achieve immortality through a $40 billion plan involving his daughter, printed pig's organs, and a secretive mountain layer, and mutant youth extending strawberries. I don't know. Sounds like X-Men kind of. Mutants. Oh, mutant strawberries. Vladimir Putin is desperately attempting to achieve immortality through this plan. In September of 2025, Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un were all caught on hot mic discussing immortality. So all the elites, these evil people, they want to live forever. Henry Kissinger, David Rockefeller. That's just what we need. More George Soros in your life, Peter Thiel, and nonstop surveillance and people who can continue to cause chaos in the world. Putin, who believes in rejuvenating deer bloodbaths, has ordered state scientists and doctors to make human longevity a national priority. And I think a lot of places out there are. The disturbed Putin, just taking blood baths. Not a big deal. That's what normal people... Do you guys take deer blood baths? Like, what would happen if you guys were, like, at home and you're like, yeah, it's time for the deer blood bath? Are you guys, you're getting in the tub, you're dipping in there, you're swimming around in the deer blood, your girlfriend walks in, she screams, right? Because nobody normal does that. Who do you know that's like, yeah, let's go out there and get some deer blood baths. Yeah, we're going to live forever. What's next? Baby blood baths? I'm trying to tell you, there's a lot of weird stuff out there. There's a lot of weird people out there, and it's not going to stop here. It's not going to stop here. I'm going to tell you right now, these elitists that know how to control and program your mind, Ziggurat, we're going to put pyramid pictures on all the cigarette packages because pyramids is where they did cannibalism and human sacrifice. So when you're smoking a cigarette, you're committing a human sacrifice for Baal. Oh, look at, we can do some max penalties that way. Do you guys remember John Todd? He used to do Zodiac Productions, and he ran all the music industry essentially, and he said that they'd cast spells of major albums in the top of their temple of the record label execs at I don't remember all the names of the exec labels he was in charge of, but they were like big ones like Columbia and stuff like that. And it's kind of like that. He said, well, the Illuminati and the satanic, Sabadian Frankists and all those other people in the world, they have all the money. They have most of the power. So souls at the end of the day is what they're going after. And that's it. They are coming for your soul, and be ready. And be ready. Educate yourself. Every morning you should stick your nose into a book, whether it's the Bible or some inspirational book. You should be reading stuff to grow your soul, grow your heart, and a whole bunch more. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Tomorrow, Bryn Beemick will be joining us on the broadcast. Should be a good show. Bryn is a close friend of mine. She's been on the show many times before. She was a life coach. She had terminal cancer, but it doesn't look like she's going to die. She's been doing experimental treatments. So we're going to talk about that as well. There's a GoFundMe out there for Ron Patton. So if you guys haven't supported Ron Patton, who's been a big time impact to the show, The Rundown Live, as well as to Ground Zero Plus, make sure you guys do that. And don't forget, download the very free Ground Zero Plus app to your phone. It's on air disclosure, talk radio. Google it, or just go to groundzeroplus.com and click the Apple link or the Google Plus link. That being said, guys, we'll be back tomorrow with another great show. I hope you guys learned some. Hopefully we can get some of these tech difficulties taken out, but I need your help. Send me emails, show tips at the Rundown Live. If you want to get me on your broadcast, I want to join you. I've been getting some messages on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Kristan, Kristan T. Harris. You can find me on Twitter. I'm on all those platforms. Find the Rundown Live. It's on Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, and of course Ground Zero Plus, where the Rundown Live is the home to. That being said, guys, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks to Tiffany in the chat, Kim in the chat, Alicia, MPRTVG. Welcome, guys, in the chat. All the people dropping comments. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. We're gonna do some changes around here. I got to figure out what's going on with the software. Maybe I might have to switch it up and go with something a little bit different for that's not so graphics heavy. But that being said, guys, thank you. We'll be keeping in touch. And by the way, I did not make it to Bohemian Grove. Unfortunately, we found out that this year it started relatively early, like July 5th or something like that. And we were planning on going this weekend, but it's pretty much over. There's one event that we could have went and saw, but unfortunately, by the time we already found this out, we realized we missed like the cremation and care and stuff, which sucks, because we wanted to cover all that for you. But that being said, it doesn't mean you guys can't do it. Do some research on your own. There's a ton of videos of people sneaking into Bohemian Grove out there, videos of it. All right, guys, just remember, Basebaal, love, evil, Meta, Adam. That's just some examples of word magic. Good, God, evil, devil, all of that. Very interesting stuff. Remember what you learned today. Tell your friends to tune in. Share this live link. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks again to everyone who's tuned into this broadcast. I'm Kristan T. Harris. I'm signing out for the day.